Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And guys, we are talking about the New York Giants today. This is part of our series where we're trying to do a breakdown on every single team, what to expect for the season, what happened in the offseason, all of these things. Just a chance to really break down and discuss every single football team in detail a little bit. We're going to talk about the Giants here. What are your raw reaction to the Giants? First thoughts when you think about the New York Giants football team?
Good job addressing the wide receiver position. We will see if that happens and if it hits or not. So I think good job overall in this offseason when it comes to revamping their weaknesses. I think they did a good job getting guys in the secondary. No, I do think that if you were to sit there and break down each one like the Adoree Jackson contract, I think that they overpaid for him for sure.
For sure.
But there's necessary things that you have to do, necessary evils almost, and I think that they really needed to get better in some of these areas if they are trying to be a competitive team as early as what it seems like they are, a Joe Judge football team. Offensively, Kenny Golladay, you drafted Kadarius Toney, you brought in a John Ross on basically nothing, which just gets to prove himself kind of deal. You still have a Darius Slayton who's very good. Evan Ingram, if he could be anything that we've hoped him to be, he's done it at times, who knows. Offensive line, for the most part, return together, and we get to see Andrew Thomas, Will Hernandez kind of form that connection right there that they have, and hopefully just get some more continuity together. But all of that is said to still look at Daniel Jones.
Did you even mention Saquon?
I hope he's coming back. I don't know.
He's coming back.
I don't know. I'm kind of weird on the Saquon thing. I want them to protect and save Saquon.
Okay, fair enough. I think he'll be there.
I'm afraid when you evaluate running back longevity, and I think Saquon breaks this mold of the typical 4 to 6 year thing. He has that potential to do that. I don't want to see him go out there and crash and burn right now. He is one of my favorite players in the entire NFL. Yeah. So when you look at this offense as a whole, you have Saquon. You have, I'm not going to sit here and say a good offensive line. I don't know statistically off my head. I think it's a bottom 10. I'll guarantee and say that. I don't know for sure. I thought it was like, what does that say, 29th?
No, that's not. That's a different thing. O-line, 31st in pass blocking, 21st in run blocking.
So they're a bad offensive line.
Yeah. Nate Solder comes back, but Kevin Zeitler, who was arguably their best offensive lineman last year, leaves to Baltimore. So yeah, there's hopefully a net positive. You never know. Probably, honestly, I think a little bit of a net negative.
To play hero ball and work himself to the ground.
Yeah, listen, I think along with that, he's not helped by a scheme that really just doesn't help him out a lot. This is a team that had average 7.9 yards to go on third down, tied for third worst conversion rate on third down, and a lot of that comes down to what are you doing on first down. Jason Garrett, to me, is a notorious old head who I thought spent way too much time in Dallas as far as like what he was producing with the talent he had around him. And yeah, I was very surprised to see him go to the Giants after year one. I'm not impressed. And granted, I know there was injuries. I get it. I know the wide receiver core was not incredibly impressive. I get it. But you're running into an 8-man box 66% of the time. You're on first down specifically. You're getting that. You're not doing. You're not doing impressive things from a schematic standpoint. You in Jones's second year, he went from a 5.2 touchdown rate to just a 2.5 touchdown rate. Yeah. And again, like maybe Jones, digressed or whatever you want to say about Daniel Jones. And there's certainly an argument to be made. This seems like the make or break year for him. I look at Jason Garrett as a lot to blame for some of the issues with this offense, not the entire problem, and certainly that moves on to Joe Judge is the head coach and he has final say there too. But Garrett is calling plays and all that, and Judge is more of I think a supervisor type head coach. You know what I mean? As far as like he's the leader guy, he's the Mike Tomlin type of guy. As far as like the way he was sold to me as far as being a head coach. But overall, yeah. I absolutely agree. Is Daniel Jones holding this offense back? No. Just to that first question that's on the screen right now, no, I don't think so. But is he the guy? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I also don't think he's the guy.
Yeah.
I think he could be a placeholder until you get the right guy. I don't know who that could be. I don't know where it could be. But I know that he's not the guy because I know that if I were to place someone who is the guy in there and to think about this team as a whole changes dynamically.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we talk about quarterbacks in a lot of different ways, but like you want a guy who elevates the team around you. Yeah. And if that's not really what Daniel Jones was doing, and granted second year he might be able to get to that point, yeah, if he's not elevating the team this year, it seems like a good bet that you find somebody who can.
He's not. That's why you have to strive to find the top 10. Mm-hmm. I always say strive to find the top 10 because it doesn't have to be a guy who sits from 1 to 10. Mm-hmm. It needs to be a guy, though, who falls at worst to 15-ish.
Yeah.
And then has weeks where he goes up there.
Yeah.
He has weeks where he is the FedEx Ground Offensive Player of the Week or whatever the case may be. You have that ability to lean on, and that Daniel Jones, I think he sits from around bottom to about, he goes up to mid.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, and it's going to be interesting to see, and I don't want to completely write him off this year, and I know maybe sounds like we are. I'm not, but I'm nervous, and I think this team. I was talking about it a lot last year. It seemed like they were winning games they probably shouldn't have last year. Going 6-10. I didn't think they were a 6-10 roster this year. Look, I have them projected to go 6-11, but like that's based on what their roster is right now. If they can outperform the way they did last year, this might be a 9-win team.
Yeah, last
in a
year was
division
a
that wasn't
3-win
good.
team that won 6. This year's a 6-win that could go up to 8-9.
Yeah, so and if they're able to do that, I think that is on the back of Joe Judge being a pretty good head coach and handling situations well and doing all the right things from my point of view. At least last year, I thought he did a lot of good things well. I thought he did a lot of good things, and I'm excited to see how they are moving forward. Not excited about a Dory Jackson trade, but listen, I wasn't super pumped about the corner they brought in last year from the Carolina Panthers, and he ended up being really one of the better corners in the league last year. Absolutely balled out. So I think surprise you every year. Maybe a Dory Jackson, this is where he needed to go to be the best he can be.
Hopefully, he's gonna need to be. Absolutely.
So we'll move on. I'll throw this graphic up just for a second with the free agency. This is not the full list because we made this list really early on in the free agency process. So we don't even have Dory Jackson on there, but this is some pieces there. Or Kenny Galladay. Yeah, you're right. Or Kenny Galladay. So this must have been one of the first divisions we touched on because you're right. It doesn't have a lot of the guys there. But I'll throw it up there just to talk about Kevin Ziegler, Golden Davis gone, David Mayo. Some big Delvin Tomlinson. Some big pieces there that aren't going to be there anymore. Worth mentioning there, and I think overall it was a net positive in free agency. Would you agree with that?
Yes, they had one of the best off seasons. I say one of the best because it gets used a lot. They did good.
Yeah,
they addressed their needs.
I absolutely agree. And then we'll go into the draft, and the way we want to start talking about the draft is their first round move. They traded down, ended up getting an extra first and fourth next year, and another fifth this year. So got a bunch of pieces to go down 9 spots and get the next best wide receiver on the board. They were going wide receiver. It was unfortunate division rival trade ahead of them and was able to snag Devontae Smith, who I think was their ultimate goal.
For sure.
But, hey, you got the next wide receiver on your board and you were able to add a bunch of assets in the future. Maybe not the best, maybe not the best scenario for Giants fans because I'm sure they would probably take the Devontae Smith over Kadarius Toney and all those picks. But I think Kadarius Toney has a huge upside. Although I do think that it will be kind of a redshirt year. He's gonna have to get used to the speed and maybe perform a little bit better, refine his route running and all that. So I wouldn't expect a lot this year, but overall I do think long term could be a really good pick for them.
Yeah,
Did you agree with that?
No, I mean I like Kadarius Toney. I'm kind of worried about the boomer bust aspect behind him.
He certainly has that.
He 100% has that. It's kind of weird that John Ross is on the same roster, I guess, in a way, but it's not. It's not like that. It's the opposite. It's the quickness aspect.
Yeah.
It's the does that translate?
Yeah.
But he's a phenomenal talent. I mean, what he is able to do speaks for itself. That's why he got drafted where he did because he had one of the highest climbs out of anyone that could when it comes to wide receiver draft overall.
Yeah.
I don't think nobody was talking about Kadarius Toney in the first, second, third round at the beginning of the season. We knew what Kyle Pitts was on that offense. We knew that was happening. Yeah. Kadarius Toney fell into that. He
progressed a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
He progressed a lot in Florida. Yeah.
Getting the extra first round pick is there. I'm sure that the Giants are very big advocates of Andy Dalton playing this year, so that the Bears can be bad and they can get a good pick. I don't know.
I love that.
There's a chance. I mean, that could end up being a very worthy pick.
Yeah, certainly. And then honestly, listen, I would argue got a borderline first round pick in Azeez Ojulari, which maybe he never was going to be that, but I mean that was certainly some buzz around him maybe sneaking into the first round. I know we kind of liked him coming out of Georgia, and then Aaron Robinson, cornerback out of UCF. I thought they killed this draft. I really did. Especially the first 3 picks. I get it. Look, it was a little bit unfortunate for what happened in the position they were, I guess, dead set on attacking in the first round. But, regardless of that, they had a pretty good draft. I'm excited about Ojulari. I've heard some good things about him. And Aaron Robinson, I think, has a chance to be that, be a big part of that defense early on. I really do. And that's a third rounder there that could really contribute. But yeah, overall, listen, we'll move on. We'll throw up last couple key numbers here. Talk about our projections, and I guess we'll end this video there.
We both have them at the same.
Yeah, we're right there.
Didn't think it would be that, but it's a tough competitive division. I know one of the questions that we had is, can they compete on this? I don't think this is the year. This isn't the year to compete for the division.
Yeah.
But then again, we said that last year, and it came down to it. I think they ended up losing it in like week 15 was where they finally were taken out of the race. But to still be up in there at what style, type of roster that they had built up to that point, that was impressive.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that, and I think this is a team that could, as I said earlier, they could far exceed my expectations, and I think that's the hope, and that is the goal for this Giants football team. And they have a lot of pieces there. You just hope they can put it together. Certainly some nerves there. I'm not as high on like the Saquon coming back as I think everyone else is. Like I wonder how much it's going to move the meter that much. Hopefully a lot. Hopefully he is that guy who can really win you another 3 or 4 games, but not a lot of running backs really move the meter that much.
I do think that he has that ability.
Yeah, I do too. I do. I absolutely do too, and I think he can at least. But I certainly have to have that question, especially with the injury on top of it. Will he come back the same guy? All of those things. But hey, those are questions that are going to be answered really, really shortly when the NFL season comes around. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will be back with more videos very shortly. Thank you so much for watching. Peace. 7.